Wel, mae newidiadau mawr yn cael eu cyflwyno y penwythnos yma. Y rhan fwyaf o gyfyngiadau y pandemig yn cael eu codi. Rhyddhad mawr, wrth gwrs, bod rhaid i ni fod yn ofalus o hyd. Most people will certainly welcome the fact that most COVID restrictions are being lifted this weekend. It's happening because the public health story is a positive one, but the pandemic hasn't somehow ended and we still have to be careful. But from this weekend, there'll be no more limits on how many people you can meet. Double jabbed people won't have to self-isolate if they've come into positive contact with positive cases. But you will still, here in Wales, be required to wear a face mask in busy places, health settings, in care settings, and transport and supermarkets, and so on. But this is clearly the direction that we wanted to move in, but it has to be done carefully still. After the First Minister's announcement at lunchtime, I'd been asked on to the BBC programme to give my response.
There's going to be a shift from government regulation to personal responsibility, a greater emphasis on risk assessment. Do you think the guidance is clear enough for businesses?
Well, I think there's been a whole lot of personal responsibility needed and provided by most people for the last 17 months. But in terms of where we're at now, this is where we wanted to be. We wanted to move forward as much as possible, as cautiously as possible, yes. But now what we want as those freedoms come back is to see in clear evidence terms that government is honing its early warning systems even more, is even more vigilant about any curveballs that are sent in our direction, about any negative stories in terms of the public health picture. And yes, it does need to at all times make sure where there's any insecurity, where there's a misunderstanding, that guidelines are perfectly clear for businesses who will want to now be able to trade as normally as possible, despite the pandemic not being over, but certainly moving forward a big step this weekend.
Mr Drayford also said that today does not mean it's a free-for-all. Now, we've seen where other countries have had to track back, the Netherlands, Israel. If there's a significant rise in hospitalisations, will you be calling for a reversal?
That's precisely why I'm asking for that clear evidence now that there is extra careful vigilance of patterns of the virus. We don't want to bring in any more restrictions, but there has to be, obviously, where curveballs are thrown at us by this virus, a willingness to take action, be that locally or nationally, but we hope that doesn't happen. We've seen what's happened in other countries, as you say, Thomas, and this pandemic has had a habit of throwing many surprises at us over the past 17 months, and it could yet do so.
Dyna'n sylwadau fi amser cinio heddiw. Rhan fwyaf cyfyngiadau mynd, felly mae yna bobl yn mynd i fod yn nerfus wrth reswm, a mae angen i ni gyd fod yn ofalus. Be careful, still keep distance, keep a safe distance from people as much as possible. Make sure there's enough ventilation and fresh air where you are having to meet people indoors. The virus hasn't gone away, but this is a major step forward. We just don't want to have to take a step back, do we?